Hello, this is Laura from Healthy Carnivore. Just going to kind of give you a quick synopsis of who I am. So, I am a registered nurse. I have been a nurse for over 22 years. I did keto starting in 1991. In 2019, I did convert over to carnivore. Uh, 3 years later, I converted over to Lion Diet, which is also carnivore, just a stricter version of that due to histamine issues, food intolerances. So that's a little bit about who I am. Each Monday, I do go live at 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time to go over different health conditions that we have out there, things that we can do naturally, and things that we can do through diet. So today, I'm going to go over something that a lot of people actually have. More people than I even knew. Like when I talk with my patients and I ask them different questions, a lot of the questions we ask are not like straightforward. It's more of like side. And then that tells us that you probably have this, this, and this. And so I was asking some patients today, and they were like, "No, I don't have pain. No, I don't have this. No, I don't have that." And I was like, "Do you have any like headaches? Do you have any issues with nerves? Do you have ringing of the ears? Do you have any?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, I've had ringing of the ears for like 35 years." And I'm like, "Oh my God." And I'm like, "How do you deal with that?" And they're like, "White noise at night. Otherwise, you just kind of get used to it." And I'm like, "I don't know if I could get, I don't know. I guess you'd have to, right? If you couldn't get rid of it." Uh, hello, ET. And then, hey, Kat, how are you? California. I'll bet it's warm there today. It's like 60, was it 61 degrees today? Yeah, I think it was 61 here in the wonderful state of Illinois, the west central section of it. Uh, hello, Dawn. And hey, Simpson, how are you? So I'll start with tonight's topic. Hey, Bill. Um, Tinnitus. Yeah, that's a thing. And that sound, ugh. So I'll kind of go over it and then we'll go over some of the things that you can do. 84 degrees. Cat, I am super jealous. Am ready for 84 degrees. Yeah, that would be nice. I have to come see the sequoia trees at some point, so I need to make myself go and do that. So I'm trying to hit one state every year, someplace I haven't been, and something I want to see. You like it cooler? All right. Well, you come to Illinois and I'll come there. How's that? You can have Mr. JB Pritzker. I'll share him with you for just a short time. Tinnitus is a condition where you hear ringing, buzzing, or other noises. I had one guy that says it sounds like somebody's taking foil and crunching it up in his ear. Um, and these are not caused by any external sound that's going on. So it can be temporary or it can be chronic. It's often linked to issues like hearing loss, ear infections, high blood pressure, stress, and then loud sounds. Back in them 80s, 70s, and 80s, those loud concerts we went to, I was always a poo-pooer. I've had very good hearing my whole life, but I also would go to concerts and I would put earplugs in. When I worked at a factory that was loud, well, both of the factories that I worked at, actually three, um, I always wore my earplugs, wore my ear protection when we go. Not when I'm shooting my 12 gauge to like sight it in for deer season, but any of my bigger type weapons, I do wear double protection. I wear earplugs and then I also wear my bigger ear muffs. So let's see who else. Oh, so Kat is moving to Virginia this summer. I know some people in Virginia. Awesome. Christina says, love the warmer temperatures. Yes, me too. Simpson says, while you go through Iowa, go ahead and pick me up. I wouldn't mind taking in California. Yeah, I was over in Iowa this weekend. My mom lives over in Fort Madison, Iowa, which is quite a ways down. But yeah, it was pretty nice going over there. Um, it's a much freer state in a lot of ways than the state I live in. So you go over there and it's just like, oh, I don't have all these crazy ass rules. So I'm going to go over some natural treatments for tinnitus. So, reduced inflammation. So, anything you can do to reduce inflammation is going to help with tinnitus. So, you know me, I'm going to say the first thing I would do would be following an anti inflammatory diet, which would be anything ketogenic. So, that could be keto, ketovore, carnivore, lion. Um, Anything you can do to help lower that inflammation. Okay. I'd say inflammation is the key to tons of things that we have going on. The things that I would take, and I am not a doctor, I am a nurse. So this is not medical advice, but this is what I would do. This is actually what I do, but I'm not doing it for this reason, but I do this. So magnesium, I would do magnesium glycinate and I would do zinc. These minerals support nerve function and may help with tinnitus, especially if there is a deficiency. These really help with nerves everywhere. So I don't care where you have a nerve problem. If I had that problem, would be taking those. Ginkgo biloba. Now, the only thing with ginkgo biloba is you want to be careful. You want to work with your doctor if you're taking another form of a blood thinner. Vitamin E is also a blood thinner. Fish oil is also considered a blood thinner. Um, there's some others. You just want to be careful that if you're taking a medication for blood thinning, that they know that you are taking something like ginkgo biloba. It improves blood flow to the ears and reduces symptoms for some people. Apple cider vinegar has anti inflammatory and alkalizing properties that might help. Bone broth and collagen, of course, because that supports nerve health and it may help repair the inner ear structures. Hydration. This is going to be the one that I really think, like most of the patients that I've seen with it in the home health site type setting, dehydration. So you need to hydrate. It can make it worse. I also think that they're not getting fat in, and you need fat in certain areas. Um, Reducing caffeine and alcohol. I don't care about the alcohol part, but the caffeine, some people are going to be mad about that. That maybe wouldn't be the first thing. I'd start with one thing, kind of add in as you go on, see what helps. Reducing or no, ear health. So removing earwax buildup naturally with warm olive or oil or hydrogen peroxide drops. Um, yes, you can just do the olive oil. Uh, and I actually do olive oil and a little drop of clove oil and oregano oil just because of the antibiotic properties. And then clove oil helps with any kind of pain. But making sure that you keep that earwax out. And that doesn't mean jabbing it in there with a Q-tip like we all have done, because that's not helpful. Stress reduction. Good luck. So trying to meditate, deep breathing, and yoga can help if stress is a trigger for yours. So some people will notice that if they get into a heightened sense of like they're irritated or they're annoyed at something or just stressed to the nines, that tinnitus really gets bad. My husband has really bad tinnitus. His is much worse if he doesn't drink much water. So if he, he didn't used to drink very much water at all, it's not near as bad. So yeah, let's see. White noise and sound therapy. So background noise or nature sounds can mask tinnitus. It's not going to help get rid of it, but it will do that. So the most common causes, um, which when I was doing information for this, what it talked about was age related um, hearing loss, where the little nerve fibers get frayed and die off, basically. So, my knowledge in eating the proper human diet is that your body will heal itself. So, I have to believe that if you tried to do that, I think the cleanest version of what you could do, I have to believe that your body would heal. I mean, we've had people heal MS, diabetes, kidney disease, high blood pressure, strokes, everything that you can imagine. I can't imagine that these little nerves can't be healed by the body. So, They said that, avoiding the super loud noises by wearing headphones, stuff like that is important. Avoiding ear infections. I don't know how you avoid ear infections, but if you're somebody who gets them, I would recommend researching oregano oil, clove oil, things like that. TMJ, so that is where you get that clicking in the jaw. If you open up your jaw and close it and it like pops and goes out of place, that can also cause that. All of these things are so very, very close. If you think about the inner ear is going to be about there. And so it's right next to where your jaw is. Neck problems. So cervical spine misalignment, especially C1, C2, C3 in that area are going to be key. So I like and believe in chiropractors. I know a lot of people are afraid to go, my husband being one of those, but I think it's a good idea. Hey, Christy. I think it's a good idea. High blood pressure. There again, some people are taking blood pressure medications, and if they can get on the right lifestyle, maybe they could be able to get off of those things. But having super high blood pressure can lead to having the tinnitus. Some medications, such as aspirins, NSAIDs, so non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medications, some antibiotics, and some loop diuretics like Bumex, like furosemide, Lasix. I think spironolactone is not a loop diuretic. So, but some of those can make it worse. Anxiety, nutrition deficiencies, B12, magnesium, and zinc. Blood sugar issues. So, insulin resistance leads to blood vessel damage, and you got to have blood vessels getting to those areas. So, yeah. Let's see. Hey, B, how are you? I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. Mold or toxin and exposure. So some report um, that they have, they didn't know they had mold in the house. It was behind a wall. It was in the basement. It was in places like that. Um, and so there's a pretty easy test that you can get for home. That's a mold test for you to see if you have, mold, some toxins, heavy metals. I'd say we all have some, and try to get rid of it. Then autoimmune or neurological issues such as like MS and Meniere's disease. Meniere's disease was on my LPN when I took my LPN licensed practical nursing boards way back in the day. Meniere's disease was one of my questions on my state boards. Never had heard of it. And I think I guessed really lucky and I got it. So, yeah. Let's see. Karen says, driving home and listening. Great, Karen. Hey, Tom. Great. I didn't know if you had this or not. I know there's a lot of guys that seem to have this, and I'm not exactly sure why. Anything I could find didn't say that it was there was a higher prevalence in men, but almost every one of my male patients, that seems to be it. I don't know. So things to prevent this is to, of course, protect your ears. Watch the volume on the headphones. Keep it under 60% is what the ear specialists say. Keeping your blood pressure and your blood sugar in check. Supporting mitochondrial health with CoQ10, magnesium, B12, and zinc. Stay away from ototoxic meds if possible. Oto, ear. Avoid chronic stress and inflammation. Regular chiropractic or cranial work if it's in the neck. If it's TMJ, you can also have chiropractors work on TMJ, which is what I did with mine many, many months ago. So I was able to get that turned around. Bill says under 60%. Yeah. So Simpson says, I think more men have it because they as a whole are too stubborn to wear ear protection. That could be. I also think that the majority of the people I take care are farmers. So they're out around this loud equipment. They're working on tires. So, you've got your pneumatic tools that are extremely loud. They've worked in factories. Not that some of us women, I worked in factories and stuff too. And it was mandatory. You had to wear, earplugs. So, but I think maybe that has a little bit to do with it as well. Oh yeah, that's right. Tom, yep, forgot it in a band. He was a drummer for years. Yeah, I'll bet you definitely have it. Um, so if I was going to do this, this is not medical advice. I'll say it again. This is just what I would do if I had this. So if I was going to do like a B12, I would do methylated B12. I would not do that cyanocobalamin, which is, just look up what cyanocobalamin B12 is. Just look up what those components are that's in there. The dose that I personally would take would be anywhere between 1,000 and 5,000 micrograms, and I would do it sublingual. So the little one you can put underneath there, you can either get the tablet form, but the methylated usually comes in the liquid, which is fine. I've had it, and you just put it under your tongue and let it absorb. Um, this supports nerve repair, and it is a major common deficiency with tinnitus. Magnesium glycinate or threonate, and I would do 200 to 400 milligrams daily. It calms cranial nerves, helps relax vessels and auditory pathways. Zinc picolinate or citrate, I would do 15 to 50 milligrams a day. It supports immune function in the inner ear, helps with infections, and is healthy for the nerves. All right. So CoQ10, that one I would do 100 to 200 milligrams daily. It helps support the mitochondria of the ear cells, and it helps with blood flow. Ginkgo biloba, again, as I said, be careful with ginkgo biloba. It is absolutely a blood thinning thing you want to watch. The dose, 120 to 240 milligrams daily. It will increase blood flow to brain and ears, and it has an antioxidant effect, and it does work on the brain. I took this religiously going to nursing school, and that my memory was so much better than it was prior to that. And I was like 30. But prior to that, if you'd have had me read something, I would have never retained it. Now, if you read it out loud to me, I'd have had it. But yeah. So thank God somebody told me about ginkgo biloba right before nursing school. And then alpha lipoic acid, I would do 300 to 600 milligrams daily because that is nerve protectant. It's an antioxidant for the inner ear. And then there's just two more. And everybody's going to know my last one because I love it. And yeah. So NAC, so N-acetylcysteine, and I would do 600 to 1,200 milligrams a day. It protects hearing from oxidative stress and supports a detox. My favorite vitamins in the whole wide world, K2, D3, and anywhere from 2 to 10,000 international units of D3 with 100 to 200 micrograms of the K2. It's anti-inflammatory and it supports nerve and immune health. So that is what I would do. I think that would be helpful to kind of, do it. My sister has Meniere's. Wow. See, and I don't remember a whole lot about Meniere's because I had not heard anything about that in nursing school. They can only cover so much in nursing school before you go to take your boards. Huh. And I can just remember this. I think it was like the second question, and it was asking about what this person presents with this. What do you think it would be? And I don't know. I picked Meniere's, and then after I got done, it shut off at like 75 questions, which gave me a heart attack. And I went outside and I called my instructor, and I was like, "Hey," I was like, "We never like the rest of them. I knew that I had them, but that one I was like, we never discussed Meniere's." And she says, "Oh, it's an ear disease." That was the end of that discussion. I have no idea. So, but I got it. So yeah, and this is the funny thing. The RN portion of my education years later, 5 years later, 4 years later, whatever it was a lot harder, a lot more in depth, but I promise you that when I went to take my boards, I was not cocky like, "Oh, I'm gonna pass this." But when I walked out of there that day, I had absolutely no doubt I had passed it. I felt like the questions just I don't know. I mean, I had a lot of different questions. They covered everything. It was 75 questions with that too, and it shut off at 75, which is usually a good sign. Now, sometimes they randomly pick somebody to take the 225 questions, which I would have probably had a meltdown had that happened. But both times mine shut off at 75, which usually means you've answered enough of them correctly that they know that you know what you need to know. Um, but um, I really think that my LPN boards seemed harder for me. And maybe it's because I hadn't been a nurse, I'd been a factory worker, I'd done other types of work, and then went to school to become an LPN, then did that for 4 years, went back to do finish and do my RN. And maybe it was because it was stuff I had already done for those years. I don't know. But I was like, I don't know. I feel like they were a little harder on the LPNs. So I feel like they should get paid a little better than they do. And the CNA should absolutely get paid more than they do because that is a crime as to what they get paid. An absolute shame. It should not be done. So let me see. Let's go over. Let's see. Simpson says, isn't that the one that is manufactured from Effluence? I do not know. I am not sure on that one. Sorry. I thought I had, oh yeah, I'm on call, so I had to leave my phone turned to where if I get a call, then I have to run. So let's see, that was for this one. I'm just looking to see what we're doing next Monday. Oh, this Sunday at 4:30, which may be 3:30 my time. I don't know. Once we get it all set up, I'll put it out on my page. But myself, uh, Denitra, and Robin Heron, we are going to do a live this Sunday. So it's either 4:30, 3:30, 4:30, somewhere in there. But I will find that out and I will put that information out there. Um, it should be pretty good. I've got so many papers here. It's kind of crazy, all the things I have. My poor little, oh, my advocacy. That was a good one. I hope people like the one that I did on advocacy. More people have got to do that. I have even more that I've done recently, and I'm like, man, living will. That's the one I was looking for. So that was also a good one. I felt like it had a lot of good information for that. So next Mondays, I've had a lot of people reaching out to me about children and some of the things that are going on with them. Um, anyway, let's see. So they've asked me about these diseases that are, with children. So type 2 diabetes, fatty liver disease, childhood obesity, different things like that. So I'm going to go over some of that. I have some new clients that I'm working with that do have some smaller children. And by smaller, I mean like they are under 10 and they have some of these diseases already. So it just kills me that we have these kids that are so, so sick, so sick. Um, and it's like, I walked down the aisle at Walmart the other day for Easter and I thought, the amount of dye just in like this much of the aisle, on top of the sugar, on top of the high fructose corn syrup and maltodextrins and all the glyphosate that's in that stuff. And I just was like, oh. And, I mean, it's expensive to do Easter baskets the way I do, but like, I'll show you one of mine that I did. And it is a little more expensive, but my grandkids are worth it. So I always get them real chocolate from Switzerland. one small bunny. How much does it weigh? 1.3 ounces. Then I get them, some kind of a toy. That's a slingshot. I can't wait. A pair of shoes. And then I get them an outfit. Like I got him Under Armour with some shorts. And then sidewalk chalk, like eggs. And then in these kind of eggs, I put 50 cents, 25 cents, dollars, and fives. And like I said, it's expensive to do it that way, but it's so worth it to do. And they'll be happy with that because that's how I've done it for many, many moons. So they're used to that. So yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, good idea. Let me write that down. So I take I take black seed oil actually in a capsule every day. So B was asking Laura, have you ever done a video on black cumin seed oil? Would you? Yes, I would. And yes, I do use that. I also put it in my like when I do oregano for my allergies and like to prevent me from getting like sinus infection. I actually put it right in there too. So I add it in with my oregano oil. It works well together. So let's see. Simpson says, is that as part of the Hey Sister Girls? I don't believe it is. I think it'll be Robin's channel and then I'll also share it out on mine. So my answer to that is no. Let's see. So yeah. Anyway, next week I'll be going over those diseases with children. B, I will work on getting a thing put together about the black seed oil. um, I think there's a lot of things out there, holistic, natural wise, that we could be utilizing. And I think, yeah, it'd be a good idea. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here and not keep you guys too busy. Happy Monday. Don't forget to watch on Sunday. I'm not sure what time it is. I'll figure that out and then I'll put that out there as soon as we get a link from StreamYard and stuff like that. And then we'll get that information. I'll get that put out there so that you guys know when that's going to be. So, yes, thank you guys for being here tonight. Hopefully, you got a little information. Let's see. Yes. And see you guys. Thank you. As I always say, meet, heat, eat, and repeat.